Hi, I'm Daniel Wong, and today we're going to be playing the newest version of Taking Turns, Blue-Green Taking Turns. So there isn't really a stock list of Blue-Green Taking Turns yet, so I synthesized a bunch of ideas from online forums to build this list. So at its core, this deck is trying to take tons of turns between Savor the Moment and Nexus of Fate. Savor the Moment is one of the cheapest extra turn spells in Modern. It's only 3 mana, but it causes you to skip your next untap step. Now you get to mitigate that disadvantage with Wilderness Reclamation, which lets you untap all your lands at your end step. Wilderness Reclamation is also great with Nexus of Fate, because Nexus of Fate is an instant. It means you use Wilderness Reclamation to float a bunch of mana in your end step, untap your lands, and then cast Nexus of Fate. Wilderness Reclamation also turbocharges the engine of Search for Azcanta after it's slipped to the Sunken Ruin, and also Mikokoro by allowing you to activate those lands multiple times in your end step and dig really deep into your deck for Nexus of Fate and probably continue your Time Warp chain. The rest of the engine is Rites of Flourishing, which is kind of like a Howling Mine and an Exploration put together. Both players draw an extra card each turn and play an extra land each turn. And also Jace. There's not too much to say about him, he's Jace. Now, the main draw to green over any other color is that you get to ramp, and for this deck that means Arboreal Grazer, Growth Spiral, and Rites of Flourishing. So each of those 3 cards allows you to play extra lands, and you'll notice that we're playing a huge number of lands, 27, just to support all of those extra land plays. Now, Arboreal Grazer is kind of an interesting inclusion from War of the Spark. Primarily, I just wanted a 1-mana ramp spell. You'll notice that we don't have a lot of 1-mana plays, just Serum Visions and Arboreal Grazer. But let's compare it to a couple of other 1-mana ramp spells. Primarily, there's Mana Dorks, there's Search for Tomorrow, and there's Utopia Sprawl. So Mana Dorks have this huge disadvantage where if your opponent removes them with like a Lightning Bolt or a Fatal Push, they just haven't done anything. On the other hand, if your opponent Lightning Bolts or Fatal Pushes your Arboreal Grazer, you've still put the land into play and you've still gotten value out of the card. Search for Tomorrow is fine. I don't really have too much to say about it other than that it doesn't block. And Utopia Sprawl warps the mana base a little bit too far in terms of actual forests. You'll notice that we have a lot of green lands that are not forests, such as Botanical Sanctum, Hinterland Harbor, and Lumbering Falls, which Utopia Sprawl wouldn't be able to enchant. So if you had your hand with only Hinterland Harbor as your green source, you wouldn't be able to use Utopia Sprawl for anything. The other advantage that Arboreal Grazer has over these 2 spells and kind of a Noble Hierarch is that Arboreal Grazer is an 0-3 reach. It gets to block. This deck doesn't have a lot of interaction. It's just 2 Remands, 2 Cryptic Commands, and an Engineered Explosives. So being able to block something like a Goblin Guide or a Bloodghast can be the difference between living and dying. To round out the rest of the spells, we have Serum Visions for some card draw and smoothing, and Blue Sun Zenith. So this one looks a little bit weird, but in combination with Wilderness Reclamation, it's one of very few ways we have to win the game. You end up going off, playing a bunch of Wilderness Reclamations, and then when you're ready to kill the opponent, you float a bunch of mana at your end step, untap, get more mana, and then Blue Sun Zenith your opponent for the number of cards in their library +1, and then they lose. The other ways we have to win the game are ultimating Jace, activating Mikokoro a bunch of times, or attacking with Lumbering Falls a bunch of times. So not very fast win conditions. We'd really like to kill with Blue Sun Zenith. Over on in the sideboard, we've got Thing in the Ice as our pseudo creature plan. Note that Thing in the Ice is kind of weaker in this build than it is in most Taking Turns builds because there are so many enchantments. There's Rites of Flourishing, Search for Azcanta, Wilderness Reclamation. All of those cards don't trigger Thing in the Ice because Thing only triggers on instants or sorceries, so I'm only playing 2. We have Surgical Extraction as Graveyard Hate, Engineered Explosives as a little bit of extra interaction, assorted counterspells between Ceremonious Rejection, Dispel, Spell Snare, and Negate, a little bit of Artifact and Enchantment Hate in 2 Nature's Claims and a Fracturing Gust, and then a couple bounce spells in Boomerang and Echoing Truth. So Boomerang looks a little bit weird. Normally people would just play more Echoing Truth, or in this case we could even play Cyclonic Rift because of Wilderness Reclamation. We could get to the 7 mana to overload Cyclonic Rift more easily. But I think that this particular build of the deck has a weakness to Tron. Now, normally I think Taking Turns has a good matchup against Tron because of the cards Giga Drowse and Exhaustion, which are absent in this list. Instead, we get to play Remand, which is, fine against Karn and, Ugin, but it's really bad against Ulamog or Worldbreaker that have cast triggers. So the reason that Boomerang is here is bouncing an Urza land, bouncing a Tron land, is really, really powerful. It basically sets them back a whole turn. You'll also notice a card that's very bad against Tron in this build is Rites of Flourishing. Allowing the Tron player to play 2 Tron lands in one turn can be very, very bad for you. So I thought having a little bit of extra Tron hate might be important. Now, I don't actually think this build is especially good. I think it's really hard to come up with a blue-green taking turns list that's especially competitive and powerful, but I do think this list is going to be a lot of fun. So let's jump right into the matches. All right, here we are for round 1. We've won the die roll. This hand would be kind of good if we had a green source. Let's see. We do get to Halimar Depths on turn 1 if we want to put a green source on top. Basically, having access to Remand, into Rites of Flourishing, into Wilderness Reclamation seems pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep this and then turn 1 Serum Visions, try to get to a green source, and then go from there. All right, let's see a green source. Those are not it. Turn 2 Search for Azcanta is pretty good, but it means we're not keeping Remand up. I think having that option will be good. But we do need to hit lands soon. Let's see what the opponent's up to. Marsh Flats into Godless Shrine. Into Thoughtseize. Probably some weird mid-rangey thing. Maybe tokens, maybe planeswalkers. This is a very interesting looking Godless Shrine. Anyway, I wonder what the opponent's going to Thoughtseize. If I were the opponent looking at this hand, probably choose Remand if there was something you really wanted to resolve. Wilderness Reclamation, okay. Since the opponent knows about Remand, I think I'm just going to play Search for Azcanta. I also think we would probably rather Remand later, because I don't think there's any especially powerful 2-mana plays that I would expect out of a turn 1 Godless Shrine deck. Alright, we want to put a green source on top. Show me the green source. Want to play Rites of Flourishing. That's not it. That's also not it. Alright, come on, Halimar Depths, do your thing. This is absurd. Yeah, there's really not much we can do about that, is there? So with Search for Azcanta, we get to put something into the graveyard. I think the thing we want to put on the graveyard is Growth Spiral. Then I think we want to probably draw Engineered Explosives and then put Rites of Flourishing into the graveyard. So Rites, then Engineered Explosives, then Growth Spiral. That was not a very good Halimar Depths at all. It'd be really nice if it had been like a temple or something so that we could have bottomed that and also played Rites of Flourishing next turn. One thing that I didn't think about is the fact that we have Remand really changes the... Yeah, there's no reason to cast this. Ooh, here's an interesting question. Do we cast Search for Azcanta so that we can graveyard another card? The answer is no, so that we can keep a Remand up. What was I saying? Right, if Halimar Depths had been the blue-green temple instead, we would have gotten to put something at the bottom. It would also be a green source for this Rites of Flourishing. But honestly, the fact that we haven't drawn a green source in so many cards is kind of ridiculous. Also, the fact that our opponent hasn't cast a spell since that Thoughtseize is kind of weird. I really don't know what's in their hand. Come to think of it, I really don't know what's in their deck. They have 6 cards in hand and are just not casting any spells on, you know, a white-black land, a white-black land, and 2 colorless lands, which I'm assuming this is all of their colors. And if it's not, they probably should have used Field of Ruin last turn to get their last color. that goes into the graveyard, and green source. Close. Let's see. So now we have the legitimate option of, do we want to play Search for Azcanta so that we can bin this one and then flip this one? The fact that our opponent has 2 Field of Ruins means the answer is no, because what's going to happen is we're going to flip this Search for Azcanta, they're going to Field of Ruin it, and then we're going to play the next one. So yeah, hopefully the opponent plays a spell that we can remand or something. Well, I mean, that is a spell that we can remand. We get to flip Search for Azcanta, they get Field of Ruin up, but yeah, I am going to remand this just to get a card in the graveyard. That's interesting. It is kind of absurd that we haven't drawn a green source. We went pretty deep into the deck. Let's see, what did they just take? Rites of Flourishing? Interesting, they took our uncastable spell. Yeah, I forgot that can happen, but yeah. Yeah. Okay. There's another green card. Let's see. So we could Azcanta into Serum Visions. We can't really save it for later because our opponent's going to Field of Ruin, so we can't really save it to protect from a Thoughtseize. So I'm just going to do this now in case we draw Serum Visions. Also, one cool thing, okay, we don't have Serum Visions. I'm going to get Cryptic Command. I'd like to interact. Nexus of Fate isn't really doing much anytime soon. One cool thing is if our opponent Field of Ruins, we get to get a green source and then cast Growth Spiral. All right, thanks for fixing our mana, opponent. We'll get those other Azcantas online as soon as possible. All right, let's draw a land. Not quite. Let's see, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we take 2 on this, we get to hold up Cryptic Command. That sounds good to me. So our opponent still has 2 more Fields of Ruins, so you know they are going to get through our Azcantas, but if we just activate Azcanta in the turn that they Field of Ruin, we're kind of at an advantage. Because our Azcanta, ooh, what's happening? Activate Shambling Vent. You've got it, buddy. Yep. All right, what are we looking for? Like Wilderness Reclamation? I think Wilderness Reclamation is one of our best draws right now. Serum Visions? I guess Serum Visions is probably good. Yes, we will transform. So we could activate Azcanta and then Serum Visions to more properly set up our next turn. But I also kind of want to have Cryptic Command up, so I kind of want to not do that. Oh, shoot. I maybe should have binned the Serum Visions because we can't cast it this turn and then also have Azcanta plus Cryptic up. Yeah, I think I'm actually just going to pass. So what's going to happen here is we have this Azcanta activation up, and then if our opponent Field of Ruins it, then we get to get 1 more land and have Cryptic Command up. Yeah, I'm just going to pass here. I was already in end step anyway. The other options we had is we could play Search for Azcanta and Serum Visions, and then we would have 4 mana up, so either an Azcanta activation or Cryptic Command. And then if our opponent Field of Ruins the Azcanta, then we still... Yep, there's Shambling Vent. Our opponent just doesn't like casting spells, apparently. Other than Thoughtseize, of course. Yep, that is fine. Yeah, given that our opponent just really doesn't like casting spells, maybe it was better to play the Serum Visions and the Search for Azcanta. Okay. Oh, okay. So we could play Savor the Moment, but it doesn't really do anything besides flip Search for Azcanta. But if we cast Search for Azcanta, cast Savor the Moment, we're actually not going to have enough mana to do that. So there's not really a point. Shoot, I should have gotten an island. I didn't realize we had so few blue sources. Yeah, I'm just going to cast Search for Azcanta and then leave Cryptic Command up. We would really like to draw something like Wilderness Reclamation. That would be nice. Ooh. The double Shambling Vent. Now it's getting real. Yeah, we can't really use that growth spiral very well, and I would like to transform. Rites of Flourishing, huh? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think I want to Serum Visions and then maybe Nexus, depending on what we draw. Let's see what we draw. Just a land. Okay, these cards are not very good. So what are our options? We can Nexus of Fate. Doesn't really get us that far since we can't activate Azcanta again. We can activate Azcanta now, see if we draw Wilderness Reclamation, and if we do, we're going to have the 4 mana to play Wilderness Reclamation and then Nexus, and then we're talking. So yeah, I think we're going to go for that. There should be, I think, 2 Wilderness Reclamations left in the deck, and the bottom, sweet, there it is. The bottom bunch of cards were not Wilderness Reclamation, so there you go. Okay, and we have our end step stop set, which is very important if you want to do things during the end step, like, say, take an extra turn. And the opponent has had enough. Okay, I still don't really know what they're doing, given that they only cast 2 Thought Seizes. I feel like whatever they're doing is likely to include Planeswalkers, so I think Negate is good. It might... I really don't know. They might be tokens, Engineered Explosives might be good, but I feel like it's more likely to be a mid-range list. I guess there are Planeswalkers that make tokens. There's that Gideon ally of Zendikar. I don't even know what comes out here. You know, let's stick in a Thing in the Ice just for good measure in case they surgically extract or, you know, Thoughtseize, Blue Sun Zenith, and Jace. Let's just get one more Wincon in there. And I guess their deck is kind of slow and blocking seemed not great, so I guess let's get rid of those. Okay, here we are for game 2. We are on the draw, but we're kind of on the play given this Gemstone Caverns. So we're going to turn 0 Gemstone, turn 1 Arboreal Grazer, and then turn 2 Rites of Flourishing into a bunch of stuff. Yeah, this seems good. Probably getting rid of a forest here. I think we want our spells, and we want the blue mana from Hinterland Harbor. Opponent has mulliganed to 5 cards. It's really hard to tell with the Magic Online interface because, you know, they've mulliganed to 5, but they still have 7 in hand, so we're exiling forest. It's just really hard to tell what's going on, in my opinion. Oh no, our thoughts. Huh. That's interesting. Let's play the forest so that Hinterland Harbor can come in untapped next turn. Ooh, that's an option. I think I would rather just cast Rites of Flourishing, though. I think I would rather just try to really get going. Lingering Souls, interesting. The opponent might be tokens. The opponent also played only 1 land that turn, so that's interesting. think it's more important to get Search for Azcanta down than it is to get Wilderness Reclamation down when we have nothing to do. Let's play both of our lands. So now we're in a position where we'd really like to draw, you know, Nexus of Fate or something cool like that. Opponent probably has a lot of options between, you know, getting to play 2 lands and having, well, 4 now cards in hand. Still not exactly sure if this is a tokens build or just like a mid-rangey. Okay, this is tokens then, given Sorin Solemn Visitor. So that other Engineered Explosives would have been very good. But here we are. What does this even do? Okay, we don't need creatures to win, so that's good. But it does mean that the thing in the ice that I brought in is not so good, and we don't really need more lands when we have Wilderness Reclamation. But maybe we're drawing more lands anyway. There we go. Okay, so end step stop. We'll float mana. It's not really important in this case, but in some cases, floating mana before that trigger resolves can be important. In this case, we just have 3 mana that we're not using anyway. So I think most things go to the graveyard here. This one, I guess, does not, so it's actually quite good. Most things go to the graveyard just because we want to flip Search for Azcanta faster. So fetch land's good. But Rites of Flourishing just lets us really get turbo. Unfortunately, we're out of cards. We are at 16, but the opponent is going to start hitting pretty hard. They can flashback Lingering Souls this turn, probably play something else cool, and then start attacking for 8 instead of... Oh, no. Well, that sucks. Yeah. Good old chicken noodle soup, man. Campbell's. So one cool thing is Engineered Explosives can be put on 3 if we get a Watery Grave with this Misty Rainforest. So I think that's going to be what we do. Yeah, because we don't have many ways to get rid of him. We've got Cryptic Command to bounce, and we've got Engineered Explosives to blow it up. So yeah, we're really going to have to go off like this turn, because I don't think we're going to have enough life after taking a huge... Yeah, actually, we're just dead if we don't win this turn. So let's draw really well. That goes graveyard, and... Okay, so like I said, Engineered Explosives can go on 3. 1, 2, 3 different colors. Okay, so we're going to lose some life here, but that's okay, because then we get to blow this up. Kill Chemball. Oh, shoot, I forgot that Rites of Flourishing is on 3. Well, that sucks. The good news is we're going to flip Search for Azcanta, and we have... whatever I'm trying to say. We have Wilderness Reclamation, so we are going to get to use Azcanta a couple times to look for Nexus of Fate and start going off, so I think that's worth it. No, let's not put that one in the graveyard. And yes, let's transform that. So let's see here. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we use Azcanta, we're going to have 6 mana left over. So what we're going to do is just use it. And then, ooh, Jace. That's a cool one. So unfortunately, because we're going to cast Nexus in end step, the plus ability on Jace isn't going to do anything if we target ourselves. We're going to shuffle our library, so let's get some more cards in hand. Yeah, neither of these cards really do anything. I guess we'll get another land into play. So we get to play this Halimar Depths, but the this doesn't matter at all because we're just going to cast Nexus at our end step and shuffle. So put some mana, untap, cast this, and then use this. Let's see, okay, Wilderness Reclamation. That's really cool because it lets us Azcanta again, so kind of really going off. All right, Jace, show us something cool. I guess I probably should have used Azcanta first, but whatever. This is fine. So we're going to cast Wilderness Reclamation, cast Savor the Moment, and then we need to make sure that we, I guess we don't need to make sure that we untap the last Wilderness Reclamation, but probably should, because we are going to skip our next untap step. Mono Growth Spirals. Okay, so we get 2 Wilderness Reclamation triggers, but we're going to skip our untap step, so we want to probably not use the mana for the next one. Okay, that's cool. And we could cast this Nexus now, but I'd honestly lose track of what turn we're on and when we're going to skip our untap step, so I'm just gonna not do that. Okay, let's go to the next turn. Okay, neat. I think we're at the point where we can start plussing even though it doesn't do anything. I guess we could plus the opponent. Yeah, that would have been smarter. Oh well. Okay, what we get to do now is we know that our Azcanta gets us a Nexus of Fate, so that's worth it. And let's do that. Then let's go to end step. All right, float some mana. Cast a Nexus. At this point, I don't think we can lose. We're kind of going off. Yeah, probably should have had 1 more mana left over for this Azcanta activation, because now we don't really have much to do. But yeah, we had 3 extra turns stacked up. There's no way we could have lost that game. All right, see you for the next round. All right, here we are for round 2. We've lost the die roll. Our hand doesn't look that impressive. We've got turn 2, Search for Azcanta, turn 3, Rites of Flourishing, turn 4, Wilderness Reclamation. No real ramp to speak of other than Rites. I do kind of want to keep this just to see how it plays out, but I don't actually think this is a very good hand. I think we would really... Oh. Tormod's Crypt. Okay, it looks like we're playing against Whir Prison. Whir Prison is nice and slow, so I think this is fine against a Whir Prison deck. We're going to need to be extremely careful with our Cryptic Command, and the reason is our opponent has that Hexproof Orb, whatever it's called, Witchbane Orb, and a lot of our win conditions involve targeting the opponent. I suppose the ones that don't are Mikokoro and Lumbering Falls, so I suppose we still can win if they have a... do we need this? I think I'm actually going to keep that. I think we want to just play a lot of lands off this Rites of Flourishing. It's a little bit suspect given that, you know, graveyarding things and transforming the Search for Azcanta is very good. But we'll see. I think the opponent was probably just reading the card there, wondering what the heck is happening. Yeah, so probably one of the ways we lose this game is if the opponent manages to use our Rites of Flourishing against us by casting a Crucible of Worlds here and then playing a Tectonic Edge and then locking us under the Tectonic Edge. I didn't really think about that one too hard. So let's hope that there is no Crucible this turn, and then we'll have Cryptic up later. That's not good. So if we want to get some value out of this Rites of Flourishing before it dies, we can cast Savor the Moment here. Yeah, we don't have enough lands for this Growth Spiral to be good, so get out of here. Yield to that. So yeah, we could Savor the Moment. We'd get to draw 2 and play a bunch more lands. That's like kind of cool. We would be kind of tapped out though, so we wouldn't have Cryptic Command up, which is... Wait, would we? Play Misty, Savor the Moment. No, we would have Cryptic Command up because we get to play Breeding Pool, the next turn play Wilderness. Yeah, that's really sick. This is great. What a fantastic card. Okay, so we do have to be careful to not get tap lands off these Misties because we're not going to untap next turn. So let's see, hold on. We can add 3 more cards to the graveyard. We can get up to 5. Yeah, we don't have a way to flip Search for Azcanta this turn. The opponent is going to go ahead and draw a card. That's fine. Did they look at us? Yeah, let's go ahead and make it so that they don't know what we're drawing. There we go. I don't think we need this breeding pool at this point. I think we're more looking for Nexus of Fate because then we can cast that Wilderness Reclamation and that's a lot of lands. We can cast that Wilderness Reclamation and then actually do something, but as it stands, I think I'm just gonna play Island, Hinterland Harbor, fetch something, I guess a forest, and then play Wilderness Reclamation. Yeah, then we have Cryptic Command up. Yeah, it's not much, but it's honest work. So the opponent could activate Tormod's Crypt sometime soon to make Search for Azcanta not flip. Shoot, I just realized I should have fetched a tapped breeding pool so that we would have Misty Rainforest in the yard and then also have an untapped breeding pool right now, but whatever. Anyway, again, I think the main things we're concerned about are, well, the main thing that we're concerned about is Crucible of Worlds, and Snaring Bridge we don't care about. That is a-okay. We just don't want to get locked under losing all of our lands. This was X3, right? So we could bounce the Rites of Flourishing, but honestly, it's we're gonna flip this eventually. So I don't think we mind going a little bit slower now. So we don't have to crack this to get a card in the yard, because if we have any non-Nexus of Fate card on top, then we get to just put it in the graveyard and flip. Let's do this anyway, just in case we have something really important like a Cryptic Command that we don't want to bin. Let's just go ahead and get Breeding Pool. I don't think we need Watery Grave for anything. Alright, see if the opponent does anything. We don't need that, and I would like to transform. Alright, so let's try to... Oh shoot, what happened? I think I accidentally F6'd, my bad. But let's try to hit a Nexus of Fate. Not quite. Well, Cryptic Command is not bad. Yeah, sorry about that. It would have been really good if we had gotten that other Wilderness Reclamation instead, because then we would be able to use this again. Hold on. Shoot. Tapped wrong. Talking is really hard. This is fine. Yeah, it would have been nice to have this forest untapped though, because then we'd have double Cryptic Command. Anyway, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, Welding Jar, totally fine. Alright, no harm, no foul. So let's do this now so that if we hit Wilderness Reclamation or something like that, we get to play it. Jace counts as something like that. So we could get got by a Whir of Invention when we're tapping down this low, but, you know, who cares? So we have this Engineered Explosives that can blow up on 2. Oh, shoot, they have a Welding Jar. Shoot. Oh, we do have this Cryptic that can bounce a thing. They've named Jace. I think that was a mistake. Let's see here. We really just want to go off with this one Search for Azcanta activation. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and pay 2 life. I don't think that life is going to matter. Alright, so end step, float mana. And then activate. And boom. There we go. Now we're talking. All right, let's do that again. Ooh. All right, Serum Visions is best for digging us deeper. That's a Wilderness Reclamation, so that's very good. We don't really want either of these though, we're just looking for Nexus. So let's go ahead and get this Wilderness Reclamation down. That'll give us another activation of Search for Azcanta. So we get to go real deep looking for Nexus. That's not it. Load a bunch of mana. And let's try again. Blue Suns. So Blue Suns shuffles itself back. So I do think we probably want to Blue Suns now and look for it. So let's see how much mana we have. Right now we have mana floating for X3, and then we want to save 7 mana at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can do 3 more mana. All right, 1, 2, 3. And then we have 7 lands untapped, so we will get to cast Nexus. Also got to be aware of time. This is a very slow matchup. We're at 18 minutes. CAX, yeah, okay. And there we go. Now we're in business. Okay, and we can discard a bunch of useless lands, and I don't think we need these fetches. Okay, where are we at? See, does it make any sense to play Rites of Flourishing? Yeah, it seems good to me. And let's go ahead and activate this while we're at it. Cool. I think we're at the point in the game where we can't lose. So the other cool thing we get to do is make a blue here, make a green. Oh wait, no, sorry. I was gonna say we get to blow this up with engineered explosives, but we already talked about that. They have Welding Jar. So we're gonna probably bounce this with Cryptic Command so that we can start plussing Jace and then just kill him. So bounce that. I guess actually, I'm gonna go to end step just in case something really weird happens. Just that we get these triggers on the stack. We'll miss 1 activation of Jace, but yeah, who cares? Draw its card, okay. And actually, I'm gonna float the mana and then wait till the first untap. This is the most correct way to do it. There, opponent has blue mana and a card in hand. Now we have access to tons of stuff. So, bounce trigger, permanent, draw a card. Now we're talking. Cool. All right, and let's do this before the next trigger resolves. Okay. Might as well draw a card. Neat. Even get to put that land into play and untap it. I guess technically I should have cast Nexus of Fate first, but who cares? All right, now we get to win with Jace. So we have some number of turns stacked up. I don't remember exactly how many. I guess it's 2. Yeah, you don't need that. So activate this. Eat. so at this point we're just going through the motions, and we're going to plus Jace a lot. So I'm just going to try to play really fast so that we don't burn clock. So yeah, so I'm not going to play super optimal. Oh, blue sun. All right, that's even better. I think we're going to have enough mana that we can kill him. Let's just wait until the next turn where we get a bunch of triggers. This should be a billion mana. All right, we have a bunch of turns stacked up. I'm just not even going to go for Nexus this turn. We're just going to go for billions of mana blue sun Zenith you. All right, so triggers on the stack. Float a bunch of mana. God, why does that happen? Okay, triggers on the stack. Float a bunch of mana. On the stack, float a bunch of mana. How many cards does the opponent have? 44. Do we have enough mana? I can't do math. I think we do. Yeah, this number looks bigger than 44. 45. Perfect. Oh, oops, I accidentally activated Lumbering Falls. Well, doesn't matter. Okay. Negate, definitely great. Ceremonious Rejection, pretty good. Dispel is only good against exactly War of Invention. We'll see if we want that or not. Fracturing Gust, definitely. Nature's Claim, definitely. Engineered Explosives, yes. And then sometimes they bring in, whatchamacallit, Psy. So having Thing in the Ice I think is good there. I don't think we need to go especially fast, so I don't think Arboreal Grazers are necessary. I also don't really think Growth Spirals are that necessary. I feel like we can at least trim on them. Let's see, this is 8 in, 5 out. Rites of Flourishing I think is good. Savor seems good. Remand's good. Search is good. Jace is good. Cryptic's good. Wilderness is good. Nexus is probably good. Blue Sun's good. Endurance is good. There's too many good cards. How about we just go nice and slow, cutting some Growth Spirals, and I don't think we need this Dispel. So that's 7 in, 7 out. Did I mess up? Why is this 61? Oh, because Engineering Explosives is in. All right, 8 went in. We could trim a land now that we have many fewer ways to play lands. The lands are a lot less effective. I'm going to trim a Misty Rainforest just because they can name Misty Rainforest with what's it called, Sorceress Spyglass, and kind of get us. This is definitely more of an art than a science here. All right, we've got Gemstone Caverns turn 1. Or turn 0 into, goodness, I don't know. Do we just, guess we just exile? Could exile Nexus of Fate and then try to go real hard on Rites of Flourishing on turn 2. And I think this is keeper. It feels really weird to exile Nexus of Fate like this, but we're not casting it soon? Maybe we are? I don't know. Let's see, so we're definitely not exiling Rites of Flourishing. This is a really tough call. Yeah, it feels weird, but I'm going to exile Nexus of Fate. I think we just really want to hit lands here. And with Rites of Flourishing, I think even more so. All right, stir away. Spire of Industry. Cool, never punished. Does it make sense to play Halimar Depths? I think so, then we get an untapped land next turn off of one of these shocks. Ooh. These are all good cards. I think next turn we're going to play Rites of Flourishing and then play a 4th land. And then the following turn we're going to play Wilderness Reclamation, and then we'll have, if things go well, we'll have 6 lands, and then we get to Nexus of Fate. That's incredible. All right, so I guess the order is Wilderness Reclamation, then Search for Azcanta, then Forest. If this works out, this will be amazing. Okay. I believe we have 3 1-drops in the deck. And let's not forget to play our second land. So it is interesting. Opponent gets the first extra draw, but we get the first extra land play, so kind of all balances out in the end. Ooh. Cast with 3 colors X4. Interesting. Okay, so we cast Wilderness Reclamation, and then we play these 2 lands. So if we untap, if we play these tapped, we'll have 6 mana, so we need to pay 2 life once. Let's see, and this is X3, yeah, so it will not kill Wilderness Reclamation, nor will it kill Search for Azcanta. So we play this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can afford to play this tapped, float a mana, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait. Float a mana, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, yes. Played this tapped. Have the end step stop. Tap this for mana. Untap. Cast this one. Cool. This Rites of Flourishing has gotten us a lot of value. That's pretty decent. So I think, oh wait, no, there's a chalice. All right, I think we don't want this Serum Visions at all. That would have been embarrassing. All right, let's see what we've got. Ooh, that seems good. So if we put back Serum Visions and Botanical Sanctum, we get to play Search for Azcanta, fetch with Misty Rainforest, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lands in play, so we get to fetch our last breeding pool. All right, so we put back Serum Visions, then Botanical Sanctum. Play this, fetch a tapped breeding pool. Just double check, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we get a 7th land, then when we untap it, we'll have 7 mana for Nexus of Fate. Neat. So not paying 2 life. To play this one. And then end step stop is set. Is this really turn 4? That's absurd. Okay. Oh, I forgot this is a 1-drop. Yeah, we don't want this. Chalice is right there. So let's feed the Azcanta. And I mean, that's not horrible, but I'd really rather have a Nexus of Fate. So we can Engineered Explosives on 0. And then see what happens. I don't think we want these Rites of Flourishing. Well, I think we put these Rites of Flourishing on top, and then we get to play these 2 lands and see what happens with this Engineered Explosives. So put the rights back, play our 2 lands, put EE on 0, and what you want to do about it, opponent? They F6'd. Okay. I'll see you for the next round. All right, here we are for round 3. We've won the die roll. Man, this hand looks bad to me, honestly. We can play Rites of Flourishing, but we don't have a land to follow it up with. We've got these uncastable things. Yeah, I think this has to be a mulligan. Kind of sad. But London mulligan, so... Excuse me. I think this one's a lot better. So We've got 3 lands into Serum Visions, and then either search for Azcanta or hold up Remand. I think we put Savor the Moment back on the bottom. So let's see what we're working with. Blue Sun Zenith that we don't need. Botanical Sanctum. We do like lands. Got a Growth Spiral in hand. So I guess next turn we can hold up Growth Spiral. Yeah, so if we Blue Sun Zenith to the bottom, Botanical Sanctum to the top. Next turn we play Botanical Sanctum. We either Remand or Growth Spiral. If we Growth Spiral, we're going to have a 3rd land in play, untap, play a 4th land, search for Azcanta, Remand up. Yeah, okay, so this on the bottom, this on top. Got our next few turns planned out, and let's hope that the opponent is on something slow again. Island into Serum Visions. Could be anything. So if they're control, it actually would be a really good idea for us to just get this search for Azcanta down now. They could also just be Phoenix though, in which case Remand is like pretty medium. I guess it's good against a Manamorphose or something. I'm just going to play search for Azcanta now. I think the opponent might be on blue-white control, and I think we want to get this going. Could be a mistake. We'll see. It's interesting that the opponent played a land and then cast Serum Visions. Cryptic seems good. So I'm going to play this Hinterland Harbor, and then if the opponent taps out, we get to cast Growth Spiral, put Breeding Pool into play untapped, and then cast Remand. And if the opponent doesn't tap out, then we get to cast Growth Spiral and hopefully put Breeding Pool into play tapped. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I don't know what's going on over there. This is mono blue cantrips. I don't know what's happening. Breeding Pool tapped. That one's a good one, I think. Opponent has 7 cards in hand. Yeah, I think we just want both players to draw cards, so not in the graveyard. We're also going to have Remand up even after we activate Mikokoro, so if the opponent tries to go for any like Vendilion click shenanigans or something after we activate, then we at least have something. Okay. Okay, so it's not mono blue. Is this a Phoenix deck? Looks like it's probably a Phoenix deck with a really weird draw to me. The opponent doesn't have a land. All right, well, guess what, opponent? You get to discard even more cards. Let's see. Past Inflame. Oh, there's Storm. Okay, this might be important. We don't need more lands. This is a way that we kill the opponent, but we're probably just going to blue sun him. I'm going to play an untapped land so that we have both Cryptic and Remand available. We also have access to Nexus if we want it next turn by playing... Okay, it looks like the opponent is going for a Gifts Ungiven. I feel like a Gifts Ungiven here is pretty remandable. I think the opponent might be getting lands. I mean, this feels like a good remand target. I think we're drawing just a few too many lands. We do have a lot in the deck, but, you know, just a few too many. Brawl. I'm going to go for the counter here. If the opponent remands this, then at least they're out of mana. Okay. Don't need more land. But we get more land. Let's see if this resolves. Okay. I don't think I want to activate Mikokoro right now because we just want the opponent to not kill us and we just have no way to interact. So I don't think we want the opponent drawing more cards. Also, it looks like we have interaction, so you know, maybe they'll be scared. But honestly, if you're the opponent in this situation, you need to go for it because you're so far behind that you need to hope that, you know, we have 3 lands in hand, which we do, and then just try to go for the kill. All right, so now we could activate Mikokoro and try to kill the opponent ourselves. We don't really have that much going on. Though we could draw to another Remand or another Cryptic. It's a little too scary for me. I don't think I want to. And we don't need that. And yes, let's transform. I'm gonna not tap Mikokoro just in case, but let's see. Cryptic seems good. All right, so now at end step, we get to make some mana, and untap, and we could cast Nexus of Fate if we find it, but we also just didn't find it, so whatever. I don't think this Gifts Ungiven is worth countering. I think we'd rather try to counter like a Past in Flames. Because it looks like the opponent is pretty pinched on resources. Opponent is going to have 6 cards in hand after Gifts Ungiven resolves, 5 lands in play, and they need to play through a Cryptic Command. I mean, it's definitely winnable for the opponent, but I don't think it's super easy. Let's see here. We want to put Remand in the graveyard, which unfortunately means they're going to have both Baral and Goblin Electromancer. That's really irritating. Actually, with Remand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we just get to cast Cryptic Command twice. Okay, yeah, that's actually not so bad. So in that case, we get to bin Baral and Electromancer. Opponent Noxious Revivals it on their upkeep, draws it, plays it, we Cryptic, they Remand, they have 1 or 2 mana left over, goes back in hand, and then we Cryptic again. So let's see, what do you choose? Put the chosen cards into your graveyard. So we choose Electromancer and Baral for the graveyard. Playing against Storm is always really fun. You get to kind of play 2 decks at once. Yep, as expected. So they do that. We counter draw. They Remand. Oh, they Remand Baral. Oh, that's right. I forgot you could do that. All right, well, luckily they're out of mana, so we need to kill them now. So now is the time to activate Mikokoro. Unfortunate. So one cool thing about Rites of Flourishing is the fact that you get an extra land play means you get to use Wilderness Reclamation to, you know, kind of go off. But anyway, let's see if we can hit something cool with this. Nexus of Fate sounds cool. So I think it's time to get Rites of Flourishing down. Play an extra land. I think we can afford to do this. Yeah, even if the opponent has like Surgical Extraction or whatever, who cares? End step, float a mana. Didn't quite count where we're at, but I'm pretty sure we get to cast Nexus and also activate Azcanta. Okay, not the best I've seen, but we'll work with it. Always yield to that. Okay. So we just want to dig as deep as possible for what am I trying to say? For an extra turn. So there it is. Order. We get to play 2 lands. We get to play Wilderness Reclamation, and I think we're at the point in the game where we don't lose. It draws a card, and we float a mana, and we play Nexus. We're 1 short of also activating other thing, but whatever. It's Flourishing, sure. Put some more mana. Do this. Savor the Moment, sure. We might be able to kill the opponent with that Blue Sun Zenith, but math is really hard. Who knows? It's impossible to tell. Okay, we don't need that. Alright, I'm just kind of taking game actions because we need to do stuff and things. We need to kill the opponent. We're at 16 minutes, so this is an extra turn. Play some lands. I guess crack this. Haven't really been paying too much attention. All right, we have 1 more fetchable. That's good to know. Activate that. We've got Nexus. Any order is fine. Each player draws a card. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure we're at the point where Blue Sun Zenith is lethal. I believe we have an extra turn, but I'm just going to cast this Nexus of Fate and then kill them on the next turn. Just to make sure that Blue Sun Zenith is lethal. I don't really want to do math. God, I need to pay blue mana. I do that. Wilderness Reclamation makes this Blue Sun Zenith extra super mega lethal. All right. And just for funsies, I'm wasting time, but whatever. There's a Nexus. Okay, any order? Super mega ultra lethal. We've got tons of turns lined up. Let's just do the kill. Do this. We only had 1 more fetchable, so whatever. No point in playing that Misty. And opponent is tapped out, so mega ultra lethal. Is this enough? Let's see, 28 something. It's almost enough. All right, that has to be enough, right? 29, so we need X30. Here we go. X is more than 30. Perfect. Okay, Storm. Engineered Explosives is good against Empty the Warrens, and it's good if you put it on 2. Surgical Extraction is great. Echoing Truth, decent against decent against Empty the Warrens. Negate is fantastic. Spell Snare is fantastic. Dispel is good against Gifts Ungiven, which I think is reason enough to put it in. Thing in the Ice, also good against Empty the Warrens. Yeah, that's a lot of ways to be good against Empty the Warrens. Okay, what comes out? I think we don't want Rites of Flourishing because I think tapping out to give the opponent an extra card is too dangerous. Let's see, 9 in, 4 out so far. I feel like we can cut the Grazer, but I really don't know about that. And I feel like we can cut Savor the Moment, but I really don't know about that either. Because usually sideboard games are slower than the main game. You know, when you slow them down with the Surgical Extraction, you get a key negate on like a Past in Flames or whatever. So I feel like you don't need to go fast. I don't think you need this. And I don't think we need this. Also note that Savor the Moment will not let you attack again with Thing in the Ice, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, I'm very unsure about this sideboard plan, but let's give it a shot. Game 2, we are on the draw. This hand has no interaction and just a turn 2 search for Azcanta into literally nothing. That's not worth it. This is Surgical Extraction into eventually Jace. Theoretically, turn 3 Jace if we can... I'm going to bottom a land. If we can draw another land by turn 3, then we get to turn 2 Growth Spiral, turn 3 Jace. That's neat. We have Surgical Extraction back up the whole time. Let's get rid of a Misty Rainforest. So one thing that we could do is mess up the scry by surgically extracting this Serum Visions, but that's just almost never worth it. So unfortunately I can't really F6, but I do need to be aware of the clock. We're at just under 14 minutes. That's not good, is it? Well, I hope we don't die. So we could play this thing in the ice, but I think I would rather try to play a turn 3 Jace, and then assuming we don't die, bounce Sprawl, and then hopefully the opponent can't go off. Hopefully our 2 mana is too spooky. Also, hopefully we draw a land with either Growth Spiral or our next draw step. We've got a lot of lands in the deck, which is why I had put the land on the bottom. Interesting that the opponent didn't attack. Even a Snapcaster doesn't... Oh no. Even a Snapcaster doesn't do anything there. I'm going to get Watery Grave. Part of the reason we have Watery Grave is so that we can cast Surgical Extraction without paying life. So the opponent could have a Remand for this Jace, which would actually be kind of a disaster. The opponent only has 4 cards in hand, going up to 5 on the draw step. Let's see. What did they do with Serum Visions? 1 top, 1 bottom. So I think because the opponent has Remand and Negate and Disdainful Stroke and all that represented, I'm just going to play a Thing in the Ice and then represent a counterspell. And then we have a lot of options after this where we can Growth Spiral, we can Surgically Extract. Oh man. Yeah, I can't really do anything about this Gifts Ungiven. Very curious what the opponent grabs here. And I do have an end step stop set, so if we want to snipe something with Surgical Extraction, then we can. So I think we let the opponent have tons of mana and then we go after Past in Flames. So I think we bin Past in Flames Manamorphose. The opponent's going to have tons of rituals and hopefully nothing to do. So Past in Flames costs 4 mana right now, which means we can afford to let them untap. They're going to have 3 mana. It normally costs 5 with the flashback, but there's a Brawl in play. So we can afford to let them untap. They get to play their land and can theoretically play Past in Flames, but that's really dumb because then they'd have no mana left. So we respond to this thing by doing this thing. We could pay 2 life here, or we could pay black. I'm gonna pay 2 life in case they have Spell Pierce. It would be kind of a disaster if they had Spell Pierce and I had used a black. I don't think this life is especially important right now. Okay, what are we looking at? Remand, Desperate Ritual, Desperate. Yeah, so they probably had that Remand last turn, so probably a good thing that I didn't cast Jace. And then what are we looking at here? 1 Empty the Warrens, 2 Electromancers, 2 Grape Shots, 2 pieces of the puzzle, 2 Pyromancer Ascension. That's a powerful one. A Swan Song and a Wipe Away. Okay, that's interesting. I will put this in my handy dandy paint book. All right, and we've exiled the Past in Flames. Good, good. Okay. Oh, I guess still want that graveyard, and yeah, you get your mana. Oh, this was revealed from the other thing. Okay. What did they have in hand? They went Manamorphose into Serum Visions? Okay. So they have Remand. Yeah, I'm not playing the growth spiral there, so that. Do they have engineered explosives? No. So that we can play this thing in the ice. And then if they have wipe away for the thing in the ice with fewer counters, we still get to take counters off this thing. And not really keen on casting this Jace into that Remand again. I'm sure the opponent will use it eventually. Let's see, this is opt. Really need to find a better place to put this graveyard. All right, there we go. All right, let's see what we've got. So we could cast Jace here. They would cast Remand. Or any other? Oh, they also have Negate in the deck. Another Remand. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna jam Jace now, and then we're still representing stuff. Yeah, they get the Remand in, and then hopefully they haven't drawn Negate by the time we cast Jace again. Gotta be aware of time. All right. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And let's see what cards we have. Serum Visions, Nexus of Fate. Okay. I like this. I think I want to put Hinterland Harbor and Serum Visions back. I want to put Misty Rainforest and Serum Visions back. No. I want to put these two back. And then we get to shuffle later. Oh, wait, we have things on board. The Serum Visions is actually really good. All right, well, that's unfortunate. I think I also put the two cards back in the wrong order, which is unfortunate. Yeah, I'm just gonna crack this. I made a mistake. That was such a bad play. Such a bad play. Yeah, we'll jam this Wilderness Reclamation. If they counter it, they counter it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so all we need is a tap land. So what we get? No. So float some mana. Cast this. Note that we're going to want to target Brawl with this, so I guess I just cast this now. Because all our other targets kind of suck. And if we cast another instant or sorcery, this thing is going to flip and it's going to bounce Brawl. So kind of want to do that now. What's going on? Oh no. Well, got a little bit wrecked there. Yeah, that sucks. Oops. I'm just going to activate this Lumbering Falls and get in, because then the opponent is in range of 2 Thing in the Ice attacks. Yeah, man, I really messed up with that Jace. Alright, well, let's try Lumbering Falls again. And then I'm pretty sure the opponent's last... Okay, that resolved. Let's see. Yeah, they had Wipe Away. And what else? The puzzle. Man, I did not even notice that Echoing Truth. Okay. Well, if the opponent's going to keep not doing anything, that's fine by me. Looks like we're going to keep not doing anything also. All right, well, the opponent's on a 3-turn clock to this Lumbering Falls. I mean, they can block with Brawl, but, you know. And if they use Shivan Reef for colored mana, or if the... Ooh. That looks like a good counter target. Yeah, that has to be countered. The Storm deck really gets to go off if they have an Ascension in play. Ooh, okay, we could surgically extract the Ascension, which seems pretty good. Anything else we would surgically extract? Not really. Yeah, because Ascension and Empty the Warrens and Grape Shot are really their only ways to win the game now. So I think we're going to go after it. What counters do they have? Swan Song, Wipe Aways, and Remand. That's fine. Let's pay some mana. Got tons of stuff. Yeah, I'm doing this now because while I could wait until their draw step and try to hit them with the, you know, snagging the extension out of their hand, they could also just draw Negate, and that would be pretty bad for us if they do that. All right, so we're looking at literally 4 rituals. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. An Exile Zone. I guess I should have double checked. Yep, the 2 Ascensions. All right, well, we don't have Jace anymore, so might as well play that land. So if they get like Empty the Warrens or something, we're actually in trouble. We would definitely need to chain 2 spells together for these things in the ices, which is the way we're going to lose this game. Uh-oh. I think the opponent found Empty the Warrens. Gifts ungiven. All right, what would the opponent gifts ungiven for here? They have no cards in hand. They've used everything. Their only real win conditions are Grape Shot and Empty the Warrens. I mean, they could theoretically attack with a bunch of Electromancers, but we've got blockers. And they don't have Past in Flames, so even if they get Empty the Warrens here, we're just going to bin it, and then they can't cast it. I don't think the opponent can win this one, but maybe there's something I'm not thinking about. Maybe, oh, okay, I know. They get a bunch of cantrips, and then they cantrip into Empty the Warrens. Okay, so opt, pieces of the puzzle, sleight of hand. They may or may not have a Serum Visions left. I think that's the best they can do. They already used their Echoing Truth. They could get Wipe Away, but Wipe Away doesn't target hexproof stuff. Okay. Storm count is 6. This is pretty smart on their part. I think I give them oh yeah, I don't have a lot of time. I'm going to bin Empty the Warrens and Grape Shot. They're going to have Remand and pieces of the puzzle, but they just don't have anything to do with it. Empty the Warrens and Grape Shot to the bin. Yeah, because if we give them Remand Grape Shot, they go Grape Shot, Remand the Grape Shot, and then kill you. So we don't want that to happen. Oh, they found Manamorphose and Grapeshot with pieces of the puzzle. Okay, so we just lose. That was a cool game. Yeah, I definitely messed up with that Jace. That was all sorts of bad. All right. So we're going to need to win fast in game 3. So what does that mean? I feel like that means we click submit. Well, I guess one thing we can do is cut a Gemstone Caverns because we cut so many extra land plays and put in something like a Boomerang. Boomerang doesn't really do anything. Let's put in a Savor the Moment. We're trying to win. We're trying to... Actually, Savor the Moment doesn't do that much without Rites of Flourishing. Let's put in Rites of Flourishing. We're trying to win. We're trying to go off. We don't have a lot of time to deal with this stormy nonsense. So with less than 5 minutes left, I'm gonna be doing a little bit less commentating than normal. Yeah, this looks fine. Because we gotta move. We gotta... Yes, we're paying life. Oh my god. Fine. Turn 3 Wilderness Reclamation, not too bad, but it doesn't really do anything from there. And it looks like we have Remand, but obviously we don't. Get rid of this upkeep stop for now. So this beginning of combat stop we don't really need. Ah. Okay, well, bird is the word. Pieces of the puzzle. All right, what do we got? All right, so that's those two in hand. Okay. Well, let's get in with that bird. Okay, makes sense. All right, so we know the opponent has Remand in hand, by the way. So make of that whatever you will. So the puzzle again. So Grapeshot and Negate are also in hand. That is rough. I feel like the opponent has a lot of resources over us. There's not really too much we can do given our hand, and I think I will activate Mikokoro. We're behind right now, so we need to do something. Something means making our opponent discard at end step. Haha, take that. Small victories. So we can make them spend their negate on the search for Azcanta, which I think is worth it. Oh, okay, or they just don't care. That's cool too. Yeah, I think we might be dying soon. All right, well, the opponent is really annoyed at the bird. So I think I just want to go slow now that we have Search for Azcanta in play, so I'm not going to activate Mikokoro. Ooh, that's a good one. All right. Can at least fight a counter war. Oh, that sucks. Yes, let's build up the graveyard. Well, that would have been nice to have. I guess I could have Mikokoro to try to find it, but we would have found Island instead. But anyway, yeah, the there's no point. So we're dead to a lot of things here. So what I'm going to do is allow Gifts Ungiven to resolve. I'm going to put Past in Flames into the graveyard. When they go to cast Past in Flames, I'm going to negate it. They're going to, all right, this and 1, 2, 2, 1. They have double Remand. But I think I actually need to put Remand in the graveyard. As much as that sucks, it means the opponent's going to have a lot of Empty the Warrens tokens. So Past in Flames and Remand went to the graveyard. Okay. All right, so here we're going to negate. They're going to respond. Probably. Oh, shoot. God dang it. I meant to Spell Snare that. All right, well, trying to play a little bit too fast. Pretty sure we lose now, but let's see. Oh, no, we have Engineered Explosives. Oh, no, we just deterministically lost because Past in Flames resolved. All right, well, my bad. Trying to play a little bit too quickly. Misclicked and let a spell resolve when it shouldn't. Yeah, we just lose to Grape Shot now. Sorry for the misplays in this game. I'll see you in the next match. All right, here we are for round 4. We've lost the die roll, but we have a pretty good looking hand. We're putting the Gemstone Caverns into play to get a turn 2 Rites into turn 3 what? This is really tough. Because depending on what the opponent's on, Jace could be really good or really bad. Similarly, Wilderness Reclamation could be really good or really bad. I think Jace is on average better, and also we have other Reclamations, but we don't have other Jaces, so I'm going to do this. I'm very unsure. We could also get rid of Cryptic Command, but I feel like it's too important to have Cryptic Command. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe we need to be more proactive. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Let's see, so this tells me this is probably an opt coming up. So I assume this is the Phoenix deck, but it could be Storm again. We'll see. Oh, I guess let's add back. I guess without Giga Dress in the deck, we don't even need that beginning of combat stop. Looks like it's Storm again. Huh. So I don't actually want to cast Rites of Flourishing then, because they're way more likely to go off if we do. So let's just cast this. And it's a few too many lands. Botanical Sanctum also comes in tapped. Yeah, well, let's bottom both of these. Well, this is unfortunate. All right, definitely have to represent like Remand or something, but let's see if we die. All right, well, it's cool that the opponent didn't play a land. All right, so now we have Cryptic up, so if they go for something, we can potentially counter bounce, which is pretty okay. And then probably follow up with Jace. If they don't go for anything, what do? I think we might just want to bounce at end of turn, and then I think this is a good enough reason to counter bounce. Yeah. The opponent could have Remand here, and then we kind of get got, but if they had Remand, then I don't think there was going to be a point where they wouldn't have Remand up. Yeah, if they had not played that Manamorphose, I think I still would have gone for this Cryptic, and then if it resolved... Okay, neat. All right, so now we get to play this Jace without fear of Remand because they both didn't play a land and didn't have enough mana for an Electromancer. Cool stuff. Okay, that's too many lands. So we'll play this and we'll end up fetching a breeding pool tapped. So Savor the Moment is definitely a lot worse without, what am I trying to say? It's a lot worse without Wilderness Reclamation on the battlefield, but it does give us another Jace activation. So one option that we have is we can Jace 0, look for Wilderness Reclamation. If we find Wilderness Reclamation in an untapped land, we get to play Island, Savor the Moment for 3. We would have 3 mana untapped going into our next turn, and then try to find an untapped land, untap our lands, and then do stuff. I think that's worth it. I think it's better than bouncing the Electromancer, and if we decide we need to bounce the Electromancer, we can do that on the Savor the Moment turn. So cool, there's a Wilderness Reclamation and an untapped land. So how does this work exactly? We put these 2 back. Yeah, unfortunately, because we don't have Nexus, we're working a little bit sorcery speedy here. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. Oh, I just realized this is Gemstone Caverns, and that's Gemstone Caverns, which is legendary. That's unfortunate. We just gotta make sure that we tap this for mana before playing this. So tap for mana. Lotus Petal minus, choose one to keep, that one. Play a Wilderness Reclamation. And then let's bounce the Electroman. So yeah, because that was Gemstone Caverns, even if we could have drawn into Nexus of Fate, we would be 1 mana short of casting it. That's definitely the downside of having double Gemstone Caverns, but I think being able to Cryptic a turn early was 100% worth it. Oh boy, let's hope we don't die. They could easily go Ritual, Manamorphose, stuff, kill you. Please don't do that, opponent. So because they could have Remand, I'm going to Jace minus here, and then go for a Savor the Moment, Rites of Flourishing, Lumbering Falls after that. And then after that, we're going to have Rites online, we're going to untap with Wilderness Reclamation, and we're going to have Jace online. So hopefully we'll be really going off there, but we kind of need to hit an extra turn spell, and we only have the 4 Nexus of Fate left. If we don't hit it, we're in a bit of trouble. All right. Ooh, that's cool. That can go on 2, and then we can blow up the Electromancer. But let's see if we can do better. Shoot. So we can Blue Suns for a lot. I feel like it's safer to just put Engineered Explosives on 2. God, I kind of don't want to play this Rites of Flourishing. Yeah, I don't think I want to play this Rites of Flourishing. So let's get Lumbering Falls in there. Let's get a tapped Breeding Pool. And let's go black, green, cast this. Yep, X2 and extra land playoff like Rites of Flourishing. Okay, so the opponent gets 2 draws and 2 lands here, which is not very good for us. Any Grape Shot kills Jace, which also is not great for us. But we have interaction in that Engineered Explosives, and we get to Blue Sun Zenith at our opponent's end step to try to recover. All right, well, that's good for us, I guess. Let's see, draw 4. That seems decent. That seems decent. Yeah, the opponent can't really interact with us, so let's draw a couple cards off Growth Spiral and then use Jace. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, we can afford to do this again. Ooh, okay. Search for Azcanta. Alright. So if we can search for Azcanta and then Rites of Flourishing by just drawing an untapped land here, that would be cool. And then end step Nexus of Fate. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, or we just don't hit a land. Right, go to end step, put some mana, pass to Nexus. See, then we could blue suns for 3. Yeah, sure. It's not a major blue suns, but it shuffles back anyway, so, you know, no harm, no foul. Also, drawing a bunch more lands means that the next blue sun Zenith will be huge, which is cool. Yeah, we don't need that. I think it's time to start plussing Jace. Okay. I don't even really want to cast any of these other spells. They don't really do anything besides Nexus of Fate does stuff. Okay, only one more fetchable after this breeding pool. Again, I'm not being too careful about my anythings right now. I'm more paying attention to the clock. Yeah, like technically it would have been better to do that first so that we would get another Azcanta activation and then do whatever, but whatever. Also, it would have been better to float mana there, but I didn't, so here we are. I'm going to take out second main phase stop. We just don't need it. Again, making the same mistake, not doing this first. Oh wait, no, we have Wilderness Reclamation. All right, I think this blue suns is going to be lethal pretty soon-ish, but we also have Jace going, so whatever. Yeah, super whatever. We were going to win that. So same thing as last time. Those are good. Thing in the ice is good. Spell Snare is great. Dispel is good against Gifts Ungiven. Echoing Truth is good against Empty the Warrens. Negate is good. And I think we're again going to cut these and these. Yeah, it felt okay last time. I think I just need to misplay a little bit less. So let's try it like that. Actually, I am going to cut one forest for a Boomerang just to get a little bit more interaction, make Thing in the Ice a little bit better at flipping. All right, here we are for round 2. We're on the draw. This hand is not great by any means, but it does have double Thing in the Ice Serum Visions. I'm going to keep it, but I'm going to keep it because I'm going to try to be proactive about flipping these Thing in the Ices as fast as possible. But it's certainly not a great hand. Remand. That's interesting. So we could keep up Remand starting on turn 2. I think it really depends on whether or not they play a mana reducer this turn. If they do, then I don't think there's a point in keeping Remand up. If they don't, I'm a lot more inclined to just hold up Remand and take it slow. In particular, the opponent could have Remand themselves, so we could, you know, jam our Thing in the Ice, they Remand, they untap, play their 2-cost thing, and then go off. So I think we're just gonna play a land and chill. I'm gonna go ahead and Remand this. Not really a huge reason. Wilderness Reclamation. Okay. Unfortunately, we can't play that this turn. Yeah, alright, I think I'm gonna go with the jam and hope I don't die strategy. Again, mostly because, you know, the opponent's gonna have more cards like pieces of the puzzle that are just slow. Plus, since we don't have interaction, we're just going on the bluff, and I don't really like that. Search for Azcanta is good, but I don't know if we can use it right now. Spell Snare is great, though. So I think Search for Azcanta on top, and then Spell Snare on top. Uh-oh. Well, that's exactly what I didn't want to happen. I was really hoping the opponent would go for a, yeah, just pieces of the puzzle, not other stuff and then pieces of the puzzle. All right, what are we looking at? Gifts Ungiven, Dispel, Pyretic Ritual, Shivan Reef, Past in Flames. And opponent takes. Dispel, Gifts Ungiven, Shivan Reef to the graveyard. Dispel, Gifts Ungiven, Shivan Reef. Ooh. Are we actually dead here? Well, we have no interaction, so. Giant Empty the Warrens or something? What's going on? Oh. Multiple grape shots, maybe? All... No. Some are going to Thing in the Ice. They're... Yeah, okay. Thing is dying, and stuff is happening. Well, the opponent has 2 cards left. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, okay, we know the top of the deck. We're losing. Okay. Let's switch out that forest for Gemstone Caverns, which is literally just a legendary wastes on the play. And we will go first. Well, this hand isn't great, but it's turn 2, search for Azcanta. Turn 1, look for interaction with Serum Visions. Turn 2, search for Azcanta. So I think this is okay to keep. We're also going to put 3 cards in the yard between the 2 fetch lands and the Serum Visions. Yeah, hand's not great, but let's see what we can do. We'd really like some kind of counterspell or like surgical extraction or something. If we draw something like Spell Snare or Negate off of this Serum Visions scry, then I think we're going to want to hold up Growth Spiral. Okay, I think I want to top this with Misty Rainforest second from the top. So we get to hold up Negate, hold up Growth Spiral. If the opponent doesn't do anything, then we Growth Spiral, put in Breeding Pool tapped. Oh, we're going to lose that. Shoot. Probably should have played Breeding Pool for 2 life. I was thinking more about putting cards in the yard with Search for Azcanta. But yeah, we're going to lose that Misty Rainforest if we crack this. Okay, we don't need to counter that. Yeah, but anyway, I should have paid the 2 life on Breeding Pool, because then what we would get to do is, I'm going to crack this anyway because we still have a reasonable chance of drawing a land in the next 2 draws. What we get to do is Growth Spiral, and then if we draw a land off of this or our draw for turn, we get to, nice. We get to, yeah, play this. We get to play Search for Azcanta and leave Negate up, which is pretty sweet. Okay, so we have 4 cards in the yard. So theoretically, if the opponent goes for a non-creature spell, we fetch Misty to 6 cards in the yard, negate their spell. Sorry, fetch Misty to 5 cards in yard, negate their spell to 6 cards in yard, and then bin whatever we flip with Azcanta. Hopefully it's not Nexus of Fate, but that's not happening, so. Get the good old Watery Grave tapped. See what we're dealing with. Yeah, I don't think we need this Misty Rainforest. Interesting. Halimar Depths to choose what we draw with the Serum Visions. And then we can bottom the other 2 if they're bad. That's kind of cool. Let's try that. Let's see. Yeah, we want to draw that Remand, I'm pretty sure. And then I'm not so sure about these other 2. I don't think we want Growth Spiral at all. Blue Sun Zenith, I think we're a little bit shy on mana. Well, it would be X3 at our opponent's end step. Our opponent either needs to spend a counterspell on it or... No, actually, I think we're going to be doing Search for Azcanta activations. I don't think we're going to have open mana for Blue Suns. I think we want to bottom it. Okay, that was kind of cool. Halimar Depths looking kind of cool. Manamorph is at end step. I guess that's fine. I'm confused. This ritual into Past in Flames at end step? So we could remand this if we think the opponent has nothing, but then that leaves us defenseless for their next turn. Basically, is it better to have negate on their turn or to just stop the Gifts and Given from happening now? I'm going to stop it from happening now because the opponent spent resources on this. Yeah, it's unclear to me that this is necessarily better than just letting it resolve and trying to remand like a mana creature or something. But I don't think they had much. Could be wrong though. Could be reading into this incorrectly, and they could have, you know, a loaded hand of Brawl into Ritual and nonsense and whatever again. It looks like that's not what's happening. Interestingly, this Nexus doesn't actually do that much right now, so yeah. We'll bin it and do that. So one interesting thing about Serum Visions and Search for Azcanta is if we scry, then we kind of are just choosing what we pick with Search for Azcanta, which I think is kind of fine. I'm also going to spend 2 life on the breeding pool so that we can have Azcanta activation plus 1 of negate or other thing up. I don't think these cards are where we want to be right now. I feel like I've seen those before. So we could actually just play Thing in the Ice and then have up either negate plus Echoing Truth or Search for Azcanta activation. But I think that's okay. It does involve paying 2 on this breeding pool. But I think we want to start being a little bit proactive. And missing 1 turn of Search for Azcanta I think is okay. And also if the opponent just doesn't do anything, then we get to activate Azcanta anyway. They do get to Gifts Ungiven then, but we have Echoing Truth and Negate as interaction, plus whatever we get off of Azcanta, so I don't think it's too bad. Also, if they tap out, we get to cast Nexus of Fate. I think we have 7 lands, so we just get to get a free counter off of Thing in the Ice, which is kind of cool. Okay. So opponent has a lot of cards in hand, so they probably have a lot of things they can do. So I'm going to Echoing Truth Brawl in response to this Manamorphose. So they have not played a land yet. All right, so we could negate this Manamorphose, and then that means they only have this 1 mana to work with. So I think I'm actually going to do that. And the reason is that if they resolve this Manamorphose, they get to then recast their Baral and also have a mana open, which can, you know, be disastrous. But if this Manamorphose doesn't resolve, either they only have this 1 land open. No. Okay. Yeah, so now I guess the disaster scenario is they have both Baral and draw into a land off this Manamorphose, or just already had the land in play. Because then they get to Baral and do stuff. Oh, okay, or that's just happening. Dang. Well, that's unfortunate. All right, well, I'm going to activate this because if we find Wilderness Reclamation, we definitely want to resolve that right now. Let's see, we did not, but we did find a Cryptic that we get to leave up. So that's better than nothing. Let's see, how many Thing in the Ices have we played this game? Just the one? Okay. Well, now that the opponent is not tapped out, I'm going to wait on activating Azcanta because I don't think we're going to want to slam. That's right. Oh, I think we let that resolve and then we Nexus of Fate and then we see what happens. Okay, so that resolves. Man, how insane is it that Nexus of Fate is an instant? But anyway, yeah, our opponent thinks they're about to untap, and in reality, we're the ones about to untap. Yeah, so our other option was to Cryptic this, but we know that the opponent... Oh, what the... Island. Interesting. The opponent is very, very mana hungry. They already have a lot of cards, so maybe we just get rid of the 2 rituals? That feels weird, giving them Manamorphose Island. I mean, there's definitely things we could do, like trying to get Surgical Extraction and then Surgicaling this Manamorphose, but that... Yeah, this just feels too weird. I'm just going to give them the rituals. And then let's go to our turn. We're not done yet. Search for Azcanta, not doing much. So Nexus of Fate we can't cast right now. Wilderness Reclamation, we get to, let's see, 4 for Wilderness Reclamation, float 1, spend 2 on Azcanta, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're 1 short of Nexus of Fate. But I think we need to take Wilderness Reclamation now. And then, let's see, activate this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, we take Wilderness Reclamation now. And then we're going to activate Azcanta at end step. And the reason is we're going to try to have 2 pieces of interaction for the opponent. So we're going to float this mana. And then tap, tap. Let's see, we're going to have 6 lands left over. Yeah, so Cryptic Command plus any 2 mana interaction. Or plus Surgical. All right, Surgical seems better than Growth Spiral for sure. Okay, so I did say we can do the thing where we Surgical Manamorphose. We have the choice right now to Surgical Desperate Ritual. I don't think it's worth it. I could definitely be wrong about that. This is a really tough choice. It's really hard to know what the other cards in the opponent's hand are, so really hard to tell exactly what we're trying to play around. I think I'm just going to pass. Yeah, it's a really tough choice because there's just so many permutations of things that the opponent could have. Counter draw. So interestingly, I can Surgical the Desperate Ritual now because the opponent doesn't have enough mana for it. I wonder what they're going for. Are they just going for like an Empty the Warrens or something? Are they going for a Grape Shot? Are they going for Gifts Ungiven? It's like I could take Grape Shot. Yeah, there's just so many permutations of things that they could have. We know that they have Desperate Ritual, but I don't think that makes it worth taking it. I think I just let this resolve, and then if we need to, we can try to go after the Grape Shot. Yeah, playing against Storm is such a challenge. I feel like this is just an Empty Warrens then. So this is going to be basically lethal, so we kind of need something good. So show us something good. Like a Nexus. That's a Nexus. Right, any order. Let's count mana. So getting the search for Azcanta basically just gives us a scry, so if we can get it down, it would be nice. So if we search for Azcanta, we have 3 left, so float 3, and then that lets us activate this, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plenty. All right, so play a tap land, cast this, go to end step, float mana. Okay, cast Nexus, activate Azcanta. Yeah, okay, this Boomerang would be way better as a as an Echoing Truth here, but you know, what can you do? Let's not put Nexus in the graveyard, and let's not transform because this land is legendary. So I'm gonna play a land. Gonna cast Nexus, running out of time. Activate Azcanta. Guess, all right, Growth Spiral it is. Any order that. Activate. All right. Let's not put that in the graveyard. Let's not transform. I should really always know that or whatever. All right, that's not what we want. All right, Wilderness Reclamation kind of is what we want. Go to end step, put some mana. I think we had another extra turn coming anyway, but oops, shoot. All right, well. Sure hope we had an extra turn coming, because otherwise I just misplayed from trying to play too fast again. Whoops, I should have binned that Remand. My mistake. There's a Nexus. There's a Nexus. Got 2 turns coming up. I should have gotten that Blue Suns. Whatever. We're gonna go for Blue Suns for lethal. Okay. Get rid of that Remand that I should have gotten rid of. Yes, we have a lot of turns, so all we need to do is find the Blue Sun Zenith, which I think is deterministic off of this Azcanta and like activating a bunch of times. Graveyard that. You know what? This is getting annoying. Let's just transform and keep one. Okay. All right, Wilderness Reclamation, sure. All right, there we go. Thing in the ice. This is another way to win the game real fast. All right, I'm just gonna let this stuff happen and then cast some spells. Actually, given the amount of time we have, I think it's better if I just go for Alright. It's better if I just go for the Blue Sun Zenith rather than going for attacking a couple times. I don't remember how many turns we have. There's Blue Sun Zenith. So let's just next turn Blue Suns them out. We have 32 cards in library, so we need to do X33. So we're making what, 15 mana each time, so we just need to do this a couple more times. All right. $34. All right, that was a close game. I'll see you for the last round. All right, here we are for round 5. We've won the die roll. Oh man, this would look great if we were on the draw, ironically. It's not looking so good on the play because we have one castable spell. Ooh. Let's see here. We get to search for Azcanta on turn 2 and then try to Rites of Flourishing on 3. I think we have to keep this one bottoming a Wilderness Reclamation, but I don't like it. Playing the breeding pool first, just trying to maximize the chances of drawing lands because I don't want to take a land out of the deck with Misty and, all right, that's not a land. We do have quite a few in the deck. So Flooded Strand, we really don't want to see a Spell Pierce here, or Spells Pierce or Spell Snare. Spell Snare being the much more likely one, but let's see how it goes. This could be anything. Could be blue-white control, could be mill, could be shadow, except Flooded Strand is pretty weird out of shadow. I don't think it's that. All right, we really need to hit lands. Let's see a land. That's not a land. That isn't a land either. All right, well, let's keep up Remand. One thing that's happened surprisingly often to me with this deck is being mana screwed, which in a 27 land deck is a little bit insane. Like, you know, we've gone 10 cards deep and we've seen 2 lands when there's 27 out of 60. Like, sure, that happens sometimes, but I feel like it happens more often than it should. Maybe it's related to these growth spirals and Rites of Flourishing. It just, they eat up lands so fast. Guess what isn't a land either? Alright, show me a land. That's a land, not in the graveyard. I'm still just going to leave up Remand rather than cast Rites of Flourishing. I think the opponent is going to get a lot more value out of playing a bunch of lands than we are out of, you know, struggling to draw a land. Also, if the opponent just untaps and slams Jace or something, we're going to want to have Remand available. Alright, one more time, show me a land. Goodness. Show me a land. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, that's magic, I guess. What is happening? Oh, draw 2? That's fine. So I guess the opponent's on Esper control. This is... I don't know exactly what Esper control lists look like now, but if we weren't so significantly mana screwed, I'd say we have a good shot, but let's see what happens. Land, 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 land. What's this? I guess we have to keep Serum Visions because it does the same amount as... What is this pump faking from the opponent? Anyway, this digs just as deep looking for lands this turn, but it digs way deep. Oh my goodness. How is this possible? There's 43 cards left in the deck, which means out of the top 19 cards, we've seen 3 lands. Clearly, the solution is playing more than 27 lands. I think we want to remand this. Gets us closer to our next land. Man, Esper Charm is really good against us. Also, whatever they're about to do with this Polluted Delta is really good against us. So we've definitely lost this game. I am curious to see what our opponent's win condition is, though, so I'm going to stick around for that, and then we'll go to game 2 once we know how they win. This looks like Teferi. All right, I think we figured it out. Let's see, is this just target non-land permanent? Yeah, so whatever we do, Wilderness Reclamation, Jace, like, they can just get rid of it. Spell Bomb, okay. If we draw a land, I'm gonna slam one of the 2 and try to do something. All right, that's enough. Yeah, 20 cards down in a 27 land deck, and we saw 3 lands. All right, Esper control, huh? Sounds like Dispel is good. I'm not sure about Spell Snare because we saw Logic Knot as their 2 mana spell of choice. But it's not actually CMC2 because X is part of the converted mana cost. So I don't know if this will be good, but they'll probably bring in like Negate and stuff. So hopefully it'll have targets. Yeah, Negate is fine. Boomerang I think is fine. I think actually gaining a mana advantage by just bouncing a land is perfectly acceptable. I really don't like Thing in the Ice against decks that have Teferi and Jace because those 2 cards are so good against Thing. So I think I'm not going to bring that in. In terms of what to bring out, I think we don't need to go super fast. They're a pretty slow deck. And the rest of these cards are just so good. Maybe Engineered Explosives. They could have random things like, I don't know, Geist of St. Traft that we just need to deal with. I think having 1 E is fine. I think we don't need the second. Do we cut a growth spiral? Right, like that. Okay, here we are in game 2. We are going first. Yeah, I guess this is fine. Let's see. It's a little awkward that this Halimar Depths comes into play tapped, because we'd really like to turn 1 Serum Visions into turn 2 Search for Azcanta, which we could do. I guess actually that's totally fine. Yeah. Let's just take 2 on this breeding pool. This looks good. And then after that, we can play the Halimar Depths and also play Growth Spiral or something like that. Play it off of the Growth Spiral maybe, and then use Search for Azcanta to like pseudo scry. All of this stuff sounds cool. Let's take our damage and see what we find. We definitely don't want Nexus right now, and land is good right now. So I'm probably just going to jam this Search for Azcanta. Again, they could have Spell Pierce or Snare, but oh, okay, or they can just take it from us. That's cool too. All right, well, we have Growth Spiral and Remand up, so more than nothing. What's the opponent jamming on 2? Maybe they're just playing like Serum Visions or something? Maybe they're playing their own Search for Azcanta? Oh. Alright, I think we just let that resolve. So my plan now is to play Growth Spiral. They can't take both. Let's see, is this just one mode? Looks like, yeah, they're one moding it. Yeah, so we're gonna play Growth Spiral, and this digs us pretty far towards a 4-drop because of this Halimar Depths. So yeah, something like Wilderness Reclamation. Guess we go like that. Shoot, I should have put the Gemstone Caverns on top, because then we would get to play it off this Growth Spiral. Wasn't thinking. Okay. Well, I think as long as the opponent doesn't have blue mana, we might as well just Nexus now. 4, 5. Let's see. Yeah, because if we cast Rites of Flourishing, we're going to be 1 mana short. We're going to have 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. So, you know, it's not impressive to cast a Nexus like this, but you gotta do what you gotta do. We're still going to, dang it. Still gonna resolve this Rites of Flourishing either way. Which is nice. Unfortunately, we're out of cards. Luckily, the opponent only has 3 in hand. I guess they're going up to 5, which is kind of big, and also 5 lands. Which I guess is also kind of big. Man, that's Teferi right there. Yeah, this is a little scary. We also don't have enough mana to cast a Nexus of Fate if we draw it and our opponent gets rid of this Wilderness Reclamation. So we could easily be in a lot of trouble. I wonder what this is. Oh. Wait, what? Draw 2? What? Why would you do that? I think the opponent might have misclicked. And it looks like we're in an okay spot. Now that we have double Rites of Flourishing into going to our next turn with 3 cards. Okay. Maybe we're not in as good of a spot as I thought, because maybe all of our cards are lands. We could bounce Search for Azcanta. We're just going to save this because the opponent only has 5 cards in graveyard, so Azcanta isn't going to flip. I'm going to leave that fetch land in case we draw Jace. But yeah, I'm going to leave this Boomerang because A, it represents maybe a counterspell or something, and maybe makes the opponent a little bit less likely to cast like a Geist of Saint Draft or something that'll kill us. And B, we can use it on something like Wilderness Reclamation if the opponent goes for an actual Esper charm for doing stuff and things or whatever. What in the world is this? Choose a card name. Can't. Interesting. That's neat. Gonna name Nexus of Fate. Cool. So I think we save this until we're about to go off. Yeah, let's cast Jace. This looks like we're getting logic knotted. X5. Yep. Can't pay for that. Wow, luckily that means Azcanta isn't going to flip soon for our opponent, so choose not to pay. Let's put our own Azcanta on board. And now, if we get to untap with our graveyard and our Azcanta intact, then I think we're looking good. All right, they put Island to the graveyard, drew a bunch of cards. Bunch of cards in hand. What is going on? Is this Teferi? Okay. Are we tucking something? But I wanted that. Okay, well at least these are cool cards. It's unfortunate that we can't really use all this excess mana until we get like Blue Sun Zenith or Mikokoro, or until we flip this Azcanta. But hopefully we'll get to do something. Okay, so our opponent's putting a third card in the yard with Opt. Still not going to flip their own Azcanta, so that's good for us. We're not too scared of the card disparity that Teferi gives because Rites of Flourishing kind of negates that in a way. Destroy target enchantment. Okay, as much as I'd like to bounce one of these things, the opponent can pretty much tap out with impunity because they have 2 more whatchamacallits on Teferi. So I'm gonna counter draw here because bouncing doesn't really accomplish much. Okay, so we have an interesting choice to make, which is we can Boomerang the search for Azcanta to try to save it, or we can save this Boomerang for this thing that I think is way more important. So, sorry, search for Azcanta. You are way too hard to flip. We could really use a Mikokoro. Okay, or we could just, draw 3 lands. That's cool. Yeah, if they target us, I'm fine with them taking a look at this Boomerang. Would have been nice to have that 1 card closer to the top, but what can you do? Also note that this is our last search for Azcanta, so if this one doesn't stick, then that's just too bad, isn't it? I also think this game is probably lost because we don't have Giga Drowse and because we can't actually jam Nexus of Fate at our opponent's end step because of that Gideon's intervention, but we'll play it out. I definitely just feel like we're going to lose though, but whatever. They do miss on that Collective Brutality, that's cool. what's going on? Is this another? That's a cool combo. It's like the Kitesail Freebooter Meddling Mage of Esper control. Right, we've got ourselves a Lumbering Falls. Got ourselves 2 more Rites of Flourishing. Let's make ourselves really, really vulnerable to whatchamacallit? Detention Sphere. I wonder if we can deck the opponent. It's maybe possible. They're drawing, what, 5 cards a turn? I guess with this Mendelian Click, that's, yeah, 5 cards a turn is not quite enough. This is 28, so that's 6 turns. We're dead in 5 to this Mendelian Click, plus they have that Celestial Colonnade. Yeah, we're not going to deck them, but it'll be funny. Each player gets to play 5 lands a turn. This is absurd. Yeah, we're gonna die real quick to these 2. 2 turns even. So I think we need to draw Boomerang or we die. So I'm gonna go ahead and fetch at end step so that Boomerang gets shuffled in. We also need to resolve it through our opponent's enormous hand, which isn't happening, but you know, we have dreams. All right. Shoot, if this was a lucky gemstone, what we could do is put engineered explosives on 4 to get rid of these 2. But unfortunately that would get rid of these also. Yeah, there's just no way we're resolving anything though, so let's just cast some spells. The ones that we can anyway. We can't cast Nexus of Fate and we can't cast Search for Azcanta, so, you know. Yep. Alright, so what we can do to theoretically not die immediately, though we are going to die immediately because the opponent's going to counter this, is put engineered explosives on 3. Oops, almost messed up. Put engineered explosives on 3 so we can kill Mendelian Click. Unfortunately, we're also killing all of our Rites of Flourishing. But realistically, this just isn't resolving. Yeah, all right. That's it. Good game, opponent. All right, so we finished at 3-2, which honestly is way better than I thought we would do with this deck. I was expecting a 1-4 or maybe a 2-3 if we're lucky. But I think we even could have gone 4-1 if I hadn't punted against Storm that one time. So we beat Black-White Tokens. We beat Whir Prison. I punted against Storm. We weren't guaranteed to win if I had played correctly, but I think we would have. And then we beat Storm, and then we lost to Esper Control. So this deck plays out extremely differently from a traditional Dictate of Kruphix turns deck. This one is a lot more about assembling the full engine of Wilderness Reclamation plus Search for Azcanta to really get going and grab your Nexus of Fate, versus the kinds of decks that are, you know, you need 1 or 2 dictates and then you can kind of go off from there. This one, you really need a lot of pieces in the right proportion, I guess. For example, when we had a bunch of Wilderness Reclamation against the Esper Control opponent, but no Search for Azcanta, you know, we had all this mana and nothing to do with it. We hadn't drawn our Blue Sun Zenith, we hadn't drawn our Mikokoro, our opponent had prevented us from casting Nexus of Fate, but we also didn't draw that either. So yeah, we just had tons of mana and nothing to do. So I think this deck has a lot more fail cases like that, where if the pieces don't come together properly, the deck just isn't going to function. Versus when you're playing a traditional Dictate turns deck, as long as you have a Dictate, you know, you're drawing more cards, and so things are happening. Or if you draw a bunch of your Time Warps without drawing your Dictate, you at least get to cycle them, right? You get to cast your Time Warp and then untap, draw a card. So at least you're getting closer to assembling your engine. So the deck is very different. Again, I don't think this is an optimal build, but I do think if you want to build blue-green turns, you really need to lean into the ramp side of things. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to play Arboreal Grazer. Like I said, there are other 1-mana options like Search for Tomorrow that are okay. In particular, we didn't really see Arboreal Grazer blocking anything because we didn't really play against any decks like Burn or Zoo or Dredge that attack with creatures. So I don't think we really got to see it shine, but I do think it's a reasonable inclusion. I also think leaning on Rites of Flourishing is pretty reasonable. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be because we did end up running out of lands to play. So that part of the card ended up helping the opponent a little bit more than us. But it's still pretty reasonable, and it works well with, getting a bunch of lands into play so that your Wilderness Reclamation can really go off in terms of, letting you Nexus of Fate and also activate Search for Azcanta in the same end step. So maybe this deck is more competitive than I'm giving it credit for. I still don't think it's amazing, but it is a ton of fun. And if you want to play it at your FNM or, if you want to just kind of meme on a big tournament like an SCG or a Grand Prix, then go for it. I don't really recommend it, but if you want to, I'm not going to stop you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for the next one.